Hi everyone, so when I was doing my base I took the foundation over the eye area too, and now I'm just powdering that area to set the foundation in place, and the foundation and powder combination is going to prep the eyes nicely for the shadows that are to come. As requested, I'm using the Juvias Place Masquerade palette again, and if you've missed my other tutorials featuring this palette I'll link them below. To begin, I've taken some of the shade Burkina on a fluffy blending brush, and I'm using this as my transition shade. So I've used back and forth sweeping motions to add the colour into the crease, and now I've switched to circular motions to buff and blend out the shadow. I'm going for a spotlight eye today, so I always blend the eyeshadow down on the outer third of my eye before bringing it into the crease, so that's half the battle for today's look, and I'm also now adding the same shadow on the inner half of the eye too, leaving a space in the centre free. And what I do to the top I'm going to do to the bottom, so I'm using a smaller bullet shaped brush to blend this eyeshadow on the outer third of the lower lash line and then on the inner third as well. Next then I'm taking this warm matte brown shade, and once again I'm beginning on the outer third of the eye, sweeping the eyeshadow down there, across into the crease and then down onto the inner third of the lid. Once I'm happy with how that looks, then I'm moving back to my smaller brush and sweeping that warm brown down along the lower lash line on the outer third and the inner third. Also, don't worry if the centre of the lash line isn't completely clear, we can fix that up later on. So now I've just taken some of the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer, I've dot a tiny amount of this on the centre of the lid, and now I'm buffing it out. I never really worry about precision at this point, I kind of just blend out the concealer and coat the lid first, and then I carve out that little bit in the crease. So the concealer is just going to give the light shade I'm about to apply an extra pop. Next then, I'm taking this light golden beige shade. I've picked up some of the shadow on my brush, sprayed it with some water to intensify that metallic sheen, and now I'm just sweeping the shadow in the centre of the lid over that concealer. Then I'm also adding it to the centre of the lower lash line, and because the shade is so pigmented, even if you got a little bit of brown on that area, the shade will cover it up with ease. Even though it's a spotlight smoky eye, I don't really want there to be harsh lines, so I'm going back in with a flat brush and shimmying the brush either side of that light golden beige shade to blend it in with the brown that's currently on the lid. So at this point I feel the look is a little bit flat, so I'm taking one of the Penny's customised shadows in the shade Truffle, which is a deep brown, and I'm adding a bit of depth with this shade. Picked up a little on a pencil brush and I'm beginning at the lash line and sweeping it up into the crease on the inner and outer corner in a C shape, and I'm just adding a little at a time and building up the intensity. So now I'm connecting that brown in the crease just above our spotlight, and I'm using a small angled brush for this step because I have more control with this brush than a pencil brush, and I just want to get that nice sharp line down first, and then I'm going to go back in with my pencil brush and fade out the edge, but I want it to be nice and defined just where the brown meets the gold. Now I'm moving on to the lower lash line and I'm adding that brown close to the lash line on the outer and inner corner of my eye with the use of a small angled brush. Finally then for eyeshadow, I'm picking up some of the Penny's Carbon eyeshadow on a pencil brush, and I'm very lightly running the eyeshadow around the eye where we apply that brown in that half circle shape. Once I'm happy with how that looks, I'm moving on to the lower lash line and adding a tiny amount of that shadow there on the inner and outer third once again. Now, you don't have to leave a space for the gold like I did on the lower lash line. You could add the browns and black all the way along there too, and it would look lovely. For the waterline, I'm taking a brown liner, and rather than lining my entire waterline with the pencil, I'm following that same pattern and just lining the outer and inner corner of the waterline. Then I'm taking a light golden liner from Gosh. I love this particular line of pencils, I've been using them for years, and I'm just adding this in the centre of the waterline to complement that gold. Because there are so many steps to this look, usually I just like to lay down my colours first and map out the shape. Initially I don't worry about the pigmentation or the blend of the shadows, I just get everything I want on the eye first, and then I can go back in and top up or reblend to perfect the look, and that's what I'm doing now. Then I've added some of the SoSu lashes in the style Milan, and I'm actually going back in with some brown eyeshadow and running it just underneath the gold to outline it slightly. I was really unsure about how the gold looked on the lower lash line. I regretted it a little and thought maybe it looked a bit odd, but I left it because sure look, it's different. Then I'm adding a couple of coats of mascara to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, and when it came to applying it to the lower lash line, I only applied it to the outer and inner corners, fanning the lashes outwards away from the centre of the lid. But then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you soon.